my name's Claire Hennessy, and as you can tell, I'm British. I came to this country, it'll be 12 years. Actually, it was, what day is it today? It's the 9th. I came here on the 8th of November, 12 years ago. So I've been here for that long, and I'm still finding that I'm a little bit of a newbie as it comes to America, particularly after our recent election, because that's a little bit surprising. So yes, and then during the pandemic, so I started storytelling a few years ago, and then when the pandemic started, I started up a online storytelling show with a friend of mine, Regina Stoops. Actually, there was a third person who was really the instigator, but then she didn't really want to carry on and do it, so she came up with all the excellent ideas, which is Mary Kariba, and then Regina and I started it, and we've done, I think we're on our 25th show since the pandemic started, and just loving it. I mean, I've had a lovely pandemic, really, because considering we're all sequestered at home, it's been jolly wonderful, because I've got to know all these amazing people online that I would never have known before, because I wouldn't fly over to the East Coast to go to a storytelling show. I just couldn't afford to do that. So it's just been amazing. I've loved it. So I've written a book. I write comedy stuff. So that's sort of about me. For me, I like to tell funny stories. So for me, it has to be funny. If I'm not being funny, then and that's partly being British as well. If you're not funny, whatever you're talking about, you have to make a joke out of it, even if it's really sad. Even if you're about to go to a funeral, you have to sort of make a joke of it, because that's just how we are. So, and for me personally, I just like to tell funny stories. So I have to make sure it's funny. And what I'm trying to do now more with my stories is really make sure they are a story. They do have a beginning, they do have a middle, they do have an end. And there's some point to it. It's not just funny, because sometimes I just want to make them funny, which is more of an anecdote, I suppose. But I'm really trying to, flesh out the story element. Yes, I think for a newbie, it's easy to get into the trap of not having a story, not really having a point to your story, I've been to quite a few shows, and it's just like, I'm not quite sure why you were telling us this. So you need to have really a proper story arc, a beginning, middle, and end. So you need to start off with, set the scene for people, make sure there's some sort of incident that happens, some pivotal moment, and then make sure that you end it. But the ending, endings are really, really important, but they don't have to be dragged out and long and have a massive, well, I don't personally like to have a massive moral hammered in. And also to show rather than tell people. So rather than saying, I was really frightened, you can say, oh, my body all got goose pimples and my heart started beating faster. So to do those sort of things rather than just tell us that you're frightened. So that's really more for the beginner. For the more experienced, really, it's the depth of your storytelling, to really go into what it is you're doing, trying to make it a bit more original, have much more visceral details to it, and have more heart, I suppose.